up on stage and asking questions, and hopefully we can help you out. We are available on TikTok. Wait, not TikTok. TikTok's having issues. Never mind. YouTube and Twitch. Please join us in the live chat. And don't forget to post your live IDs in the ID channel from in-game so that you can get a little extra something from Fairy. And with all of that, let's get started. Soul?
Welcome, everyone. So we're going to cover a few things here. We had a special stage on Wednesday where we went over some of the strategies and whatnot that alliances have been using on Surreal Wetland. We will cover some of that stuff over again here today. So if you think that could be useful towards your alliances, definitely share the video here with alliance leaders and whatnot, so you guys can have a much better event. But before we go into all of that, the devs have announced a new update that's going to be hitting on Monday. And we're going to cover like pretty much what that is. If you look in the chat, Nim is about to post the screenshots of what the update's going to cover. And basically the biggest thing that's coming out of the update is going to be 3 new awakenings of seasoned ants. So Nimble Tree Ant, Shield Warden, and Gravedigger are all getting awakened. So for those of you playing the game constantly, last update towards the awakening portion of the game were seasoned ants, and it looks like that's a continuation of that. And these are the first generation of seasoned ants, so it's going to these 3 ants are now in addition to the Wise Berserker, Leaf Devourer, and Golden Crystal awakenings that happened last time. So 3 more seasoned ants, commonly referred to as the Lost Island ants, because these were all part of the first generation when Lost Island came out. So it looks like as we continue down the road with the game, more and more ants will wind up getting awakenings. So the ones left are basically seasoned ants. So as far as the quote unquote free ants are concerned, I'm sure like recently the Iron Elephant was awakened as well. So there'll always be some sort of pay ant that gets a awakening, and then they'll probably add more and more seasoned ants to be awakened, which is something. Yes, usually the awakening is for a certain server range, Lulu. They don't typically announce it. I think my experience has been 0 to 850 seems to get the awakenings first. Jake can kind of confirm this a little bit more for us, but post 850, the awakenings typically come a little bit later. Jake, do you guys have Wise Berserker, Golden Crystal, and Leaf Devourer awakened?
No, we don't have those first 3 awakened. I think it got originally to 850, and then I think it got extended to 950, and now it's there, I believe.
Can you do me a favor? Can you check your maintenance notice in game? And I'm kind of curious. Maybe they are going to awaken those for your server range now.
The first 3?
Yeah.
No, my maintenance notice shows the Gravedigger, the Shield Warden, and the Nimble Tree, like the next 3.
Okay. All right. So it is possible. I'm not going to say that it's going to happen. We obviously don't know, but it may be possible that in Jake's range, when these 3 drop, the first 3 may drop, that were awakened already in the 0 to 850 range. So 849, I'm sorry. 850 and up is typically the next range. Thank you, Lulu. I'm sorry. So we'll see. I mean, obviously, we have no idea until the maintenance happens. Also, they are going to be doing a few optimizations. So certain tasks, the display basically for Colony Action, Strongest Warzone event, uh, related tasks are getting optimized. Also, they are going to optimize the season buff display. So when you click on ruler information that are in the towers or whatnot, it will include the combat buffs and when you're fighting infected ants in tower battles. So you will be able to get a little bit more information from just clicking on the tower, I believe, is what it looks like. We've kind of seen that a little bit now, those playing the Surreal Wetland, and possibly other events, but like I've noticed when you click on the info button of a specific infected ant, it actually displays what troop type is in there. So you can kind of see how many troops they have and whatnot. So I think it's going to be something similar to that, but possibly for even normal players that are in the tower. So that's that. Now, this update is not a huge one. It's going to take about 30 minutes. So typically when we see like major changes, it's like usually an hour-long update. But in this one, there is going to be, it's 30 minutes, so it's probably just the introduction of the Three Awakenings and then like some optimizations. There are a few bug fixes that they are also mentioning in it. I guess Alliance Fortress output displayed incorrectly during Surreal Wetland. There is an issue where the scheduling in the Alliance calendar wasn't working sometimes. And then it fixed the issue of where answers to the Wonder related and the Q&A were judged incorrectly. So I haven't noticed any of those too much. I kind of blow through those daily. It seems to be like more of a chore. But so those are some of the things. Now, if you are on event, when the update happens, all teams enter a special protection. So even if you're fighting in the middle of a fight or something like that, anyone that's in the towers gets kicked out. Once the update's over, you guys can continue battling away. So that's typically been the case. I used to be able to take advantage before they did that, but we used to try to time to like knock out the enemies in a tower we were going after so that when the protection hit, we were in the tower. When we came back for protection, that tower would be destroyed because they had no way of defending themselves. So that was something they fixed a long time ago, but it was fun to take advantage of that when it didn't enter the special protection. So we'll see. But I kind of want to cover a lot of stuff when it comes to Surreal Wetland and some of the stuff that we've learned. Wednesday, unfortunately, we had a recording of Wednesday's stage that covered a lot of the stuff I'm going to cover now, but there were some copyright issues due to some music playing in the background, so YouTube took down the vid, and we can't really get it back, so unfortunately, that video is gone, but today's video is going to cover a lot of the stuff. So first and foremost, I'm going to post in the live chat right now a kind of a play-by-play on how the event should, or how alliances should proceed when it comes to Surreal Wetland. I've shared this on other channels in official Discord, but I'll do it here for those that are listening. And if you come back, and I'm going to kind of read them over step by step so that people can do this. Now, the Surreal Wetland people need to understand this is like a major battle of attrition against the infected. It's there's a couple ways you can try to handle the infected as you're fighting through them. Our alliance has been very successful when it comes to going up against the infected, partly because of the strategies that we're using here. As I see people struggling and complaining in Discord and Facebook and stuff like that on how difficult the infected are, a lot of it is a result of like not having the proper information or not seeing the pattern when it comes to fighting the infected. The alliance that I'm in has quite a few smart, very smart people that like to look for the algorithms and stuff in the game and how to take advantage of certain things. So we pretty early on found some tactics and strategy that have allowed us to proceed at a much faster rate than even our campmates or the opponent camp. So sharing this with your alliances could help ease some of the burdens and pains of the event. Now, this isn't going to work everywhere. The biggest factor that comes with this is it is a grind. Okay. And if your alliance is not willing to grind it out, if you do not have the activity, this is going to be very difficult to do. So you have to like be prepared. I still, on a personal level, kind of agree with most players out there that the event is a lot more difficult than it needs to be. But overall, I absolutely love the event. I think it's a great season compared to other seasons that I played in and other events that we're playing. So with that being said, okay, these tips that I just posted in the chat are pretty specific towards the environmental area more so than the shared camp area. Okay. And I'll explain why in a second. But the percentages that I'm listing on that, we kind of figured it all out while we were fighting in the environmental area. It is actually easier in the shared area than it is. So the first area that opens after your home area, these percentage numbers are not exact. Okay. They're exact when it comes to fighting in the environmental area. So that's very important to note. Okay. Secondly, this strategy that is being implemented by my alliance and that we're sharing with everyone is really the grind, meaning that it is designed to save our members the most stamina, save our members the most resources, save our members the most pain. Okay. Now, on that note, it comes at a cost of longer time to capture buildings, longer time to proceed. So bear all of that in mind because in certain situations, you may not have the time. Your alliance may be strong enough where you can brute force certain buildings. You may want to just get a little bit of pain in order to get to a target faster. So bear all of that in mind before you like just use this strategy and proceed. So whether you're in the shared area or you're in the environmental area, and I don't know what's going to happen once we get into the second environmental area that doesn't open for another 4 days. So the infected AI may become much more aggressive. I don't know. But for now, this is where we are in the event. So we would like to, just cover that for now. In a future stage, we may change this around a little bit, but in environmental area and in the shared area, it does not matter whether you are whatever you're doing. Alliance towers that you place that are touching the infected territory will never come under attack by any bosses. That is something that is been universal so far. So home area, the second area, and the first environmental area, bosses never attack your towers. Only the elite and normal hills attack. Nim's got a picture of the 3 different types of hills. I'll have her post that in the chat here shortly. But the hardest infected to fight are the bosses, followed by the elite, then followed by the normal. The stats increase based on that. So when you drop a tower, the normal and the elite are the only type of infected ants that will attack your drop tower. Bosses never do. Now that changes. Once you are, there's 3 different levels of towers when it comes towards a building. So like, let's say you guys are heading towards a residence. When you're further distance away, the tower gets attacked by infected. You'll see where it says supply, and the supplies either far, medium, or near. So there's different algorithms based on how far the distance is. So when we're talking on far supplied infected towers, okay, you can attack those towers. And now the numbers I'm going to give are specific for the environmental area, not for the shared area, because the shared area has an actual higher threshold. Okay, so in the environmental area, on any far supplied infected tower, if your team starts attacking that far tower, once the durability of that tower reaches 80%, bosses will start coming to the tower and attacking it. And where this is important is if you utilize the strategy that I posted here, the strategy is designed that you want to whittle away the supply, because as soon as the supply hits 0, across the board, you're not going to be attacked in force by the infected. You'll still get like these minor little attacks here and there, but it will not be like massive forced attacks by the infected. Okay, so basically what you want to do is you want to build towards a target, right? Once you start hitting the far connected tower to that particular building, you're going to start attacking their towers. It's going to make a response from the infected. They're going to come, right? But as long as you don't let that tower drop below 80%, bosses will never come. So your players will be fighting the infected, elite, and normal hills, not bosses. They are much easier to take care of. So what you're going to do is you're going to connect to the near tower. You're going to attack. You're going to build your own towers, right? While you're building them, they're going to come under attack, but they're only coming under attack by normal and elite hills. So keep building your tower, keep building your tower. As soon as the tower is done being built, you just defend it, right? It's going to constantly be coming under attack, but 3, 4, 5 players online can easily defend it because those towers are only coming under attack by normal and elite troops. No bosses are coming to it. So the goal is to keep withstanding the attacks from the infected. As more players are online, it gets easier and easier to defend your stuff, but you're not fighting any bosses. At the same time, you want to attack that far tower, right? Because the threshold for the infected to come, or the infected bosses to come, is at 80% durability. So if you drop the infected tower down to like 81% and then pull your troops out and allow it to regenerate and then attack it again, what you're doing is you're dwindling down the supply, because every time the infected send a march, it's costing them supply. Every march that's sent is costing them supply. So the supply is going to start coming down. Once the supply reaches 69%, below 70%, okay, the infected will no longer defend their towers in the far area, okay? So you can easily destroy those towers and then move your towers to a medium supply and connect to a medium supply, okay? Again, you're going to repeat it. You're going to do this all over again, okay? But the threshold now changes, okay? When you connect to a medium supplied tower, the tower durability that triggers a boss coming in to fight is going to become 90%, okay? So if that tower drops below 90% durability, the bosses will come. But there's also now a second trigger that will bring the bosses, okay? And that is the amount of players that are in that infected tower. So if you limit it to 6 or 7 players going into that infected tower, the bosses will not come, regardless of the durability, until you hit the 90% mark. So if you have 10, 15, 20 players going into that tower, the bosses are coming, even if the durability is at 95%. So what you want to do is, again, you want to keep repeating this process, bringing the supply down every time they're attacked. Once the supply hits 49% on medium range, you no longer get infected defending those. You can destroy those towers and move on to connect to a near supply tower. Okay. And you can, depending on the strength of your alliance, you can do this, all at the same time. You can connect to a near, connect to a medium, connect to a far, all at the same time. If you guys can defend the 5 or 6 towers that are, under this constant attack, then keep pushing towards the building target. It's not like build, whittle down the supply, move forward. You can do it all at the same time. Okay. But the goal here is, when you're fighting the infected, you don't want to fight the bosses. The bosses are a huge drain. Okay. Doesn't matter the difficulty level you are on event. Bosses coming are going to drain your members big time, whether it's season stamina, resources, season fungi, all of that is a cost. And trying to brute force your way into this will wind up costing your team more and more resources. Now, some teams are very well prepared. They've gone season to season. They know that they're going to need a ton of healing speed ups. They know they're going to need a ton of resources. So there are teams out there that are super prepared for something like this, and there are players out there that are not prepared whatsoever, because they don't spend Saturday farming speeding heals or whatnot. So me personally, I have 25,000 hours of healing speed ups on my account. It's not a lot compared. I've seen people with over 100,000, but I've spent on this event being very active over 4,000 hours of healing speed up so far, simply fighting infected. We haven't even fought our opponents yet. So it does take a lot. I do agree with the adjustments needed for resources, and that this is something that I personally plan on bringing up with the developers to try to get better compensation for the resources that are being spent. But again, until that all happens, nothing really that can be done about it at this point. Either you came to the event prepared with a ton of resources. I mean, here's the other thing too. In Honeydew, because I have only been using enhanced ants to heal, I've spent over 2 Gs of Honeydew healing. So it is extremely draining when it comes to fighting. So lessen the whole reason for my strategies here are to lessen the impact on your account. So basically, once you get to those near towers, again, the threshold changes. The boss arrival is triggered by one of two things when it comes to near towers. They will arrive again at 90% durability of tower and more than one player in the tower. So when you get to near supply towers, typically you want your strongest player to hit the infected hill while the rest of the team kind of defends their hills. Once the supply is whittled down to 0%, attack the building, take it, move forward to the next one. Now, this takes a lot of time. There is another factor that is involved in this. If you look closely at the buildings, they have different supply levels. There's a level 1 supply, level 2 supply that you have potentially faced so far. No team has faced a level 3 yet, but that is also in the event. If you take a close look at the wonders that are closest to the 3 gates, those have a level 3 supply. Okay. And the reason that becomes important is level 1 and level 2, or level 1 supply is pretty easy and faster to drain than level 2, which means that level 3 is going to be a bear in order to try to drain the supply. So using the tactics that I'm mentioning here it's going to take a long time. Okay. If you went solely based on the tactics that I'm telling you here to grab most target buildings, you may be working at this for about 8 hours, 9 hours on a level 1 supply and closer to like 10, 12 hours on a level 2 supply. Okay. So obviously, if your team is doing more attacks yep, exactly. So that's a level 2 supply, as Nim is showing on this residence. So as you are doing these tactics, you're going to want to keep in mind that this is a marathon. I mean, your team is going to have to know that, hey, this is the reason we're doing it. And then sometimes there's certain areas. We were in an area where we were connected to 3 or 4 different buildings, and one building was being supplied. One tower was being supplied by another building, then another tower, because the subzone is the cutoff area. And so your team might be fighting certain buildings, and some towers need to be marked hey, don't attack this because we're not trying to drain the supply on this one. We're trying to drain the supply on this other one. So supply is basically the stamina of the building you are trying to go after. That's kind of how the infected don't have stamina, so their threshold is this supply. You want to whittle away at the supply to make it easier for your team to continue marching, take a building, and go on to the next target. For those planning these events for your teams, that's another important factor, because you have to literally be 2, 3, 4 steps ahead. Okay, today I know it's going to take 8 hours to drain the stamina for this building that we're going after. So we're going to go after this building, but at the same time, we're going to be marching, and it could be on the other side of the map towards these other building targets, because after the 8 hours is done, after we've hit this building, we want to be connected here so we can continue to move to the next stage that we're going to be fighting. So there's a lot of forethought that needs to be thought of when you're planning your marches and whatnot. And then to add even more to all of this, you have to pay attention to what your opponent camp is doing, because they may want to take advantage of the fact that, hey, you guys have been fighting infected for 9 hours. We're going to come and attack you at this point. I've seen posts here where some teams are like, hey, yeah, we're just going to wait till the opponent camp takes over an entire area, and then we're going to push through and take it back from them. Well, yeah, I mean, that could happen, right? Nim? Right? It could happen.
It could
but-
happen.
But then they may be surprised to know that like the other camp is planning on something like that to happen. So that being said, it may not work the way they so think it will work, because if a team is implementing the strategies that I put here, they are not going through resources and stamina and healing fungi like the opponent camp might think they are. Okay, so the opponent camp might be basing it on, the fact that they're being wiped out so bad because they are trying to brute force this, or even just defending their own towers and whatnot. They might be going through a lot of stuff and thinking that the other team is doing this, is suffering the same, but it might not be the case. So just bear that all in mind. It really does depend on the teams that you guys are facing, and so everyone's going to have a different outcome, I'm sure. But if anyone has any questions, go ahead and post them in the live chat now, or if you want to come up on stage, we'll be more than happy to answer those questions. I've seen a ton of maps. I'm telling you that right now. I've seen events where players have already encountered the enemy camp and are fighting tooth and nail against them. And I've seen maps where one side has conquered wonder after wonder. And I've seen, like, our event is semi-even, I would say. I think our camp is at a little bit of an advantage. I think we've taken more buildings than the opponent camp, but our opponent camp has taken important buildings. So like wonders and whatnot, we're pretty evenly matched. So I do like the matchups. I will say that. I think the matchups are correct in this event. It seems so far from what I've seen. I just think that the cost of stamina, resources, everything is a little bit much for it. But overall, I think the event is really, really a good one. Hear that treasures anybody outside this. Lulu, I've always been a proponent of an informed community is a happier and better community, but share it with whoever you want, and whoever gets it, gets it. Conic is in the audience. I'm going to say something, Conic. I don't know if you guys remember, but a few maybe 7 or 8 months ago, didn't we have like a Halloween stage event where we had to come up and create an ant? You guys remember that? Otto?
I don't remember it.
You might not have been on stage yet, Nim. Otto will remember for sure.
It was not 8 months ago. It was 15 months ago.
But okay, 15 months. I think
It's been a while.
I think Conic's ant he submitted for that was an infected ant, if I remember correctly.
It was.
It was a fungi infected ant. So I don't know. That's kind of suspicious, Conic. That 15 months ago you create this ant that's an infected ant, and all of a sudden we're fighting infected ants.
Yeah, but Conic's been sus since day one, so.
Oh
Should
man.
have sold your idea, Conic.
We probably
Could have
did.
been making 15 cents for every infected ant killed.
So hashtag it's Conic's fault.
Yep. 100%.
Blame
I knew-
Conic. Blame
I knew
Conic.
that before any of you. It's always Conic's fault.
Blame Conic.
I think that's it too. So like I overall am super enjoying the event. If you take out the long slog that it is to like get anything done because you're facing these crazy overpowered infected ants, the platform for the event itself, like the concept, it's super fun. Like I'm not boring. There's something to do from the time I get up to the time I go to bed, there's something for me to be figuring out, whether it's, the regular PvE stuff or we're sitting in a tower constantly planning the next strategy. But yeah, I'm on the fence too. Like there's certain things in game that I'm like, I don't like, for instance, troop camps. The season stamina really shouldn't be used for troop camps when you're trying to reserve spots because like it's such an expensive resource. And I think also there was something else that I didn't think. Hill versus hill. I think if it's something you're already doing, say on your regular map, you're back on server, it shouldn't be something that costs season stamina on the day-to-day map in season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can agree with that. That's another strategy that a lot of people are utilizing. If you really think about it, where they're placing campsites to make the march of the infected a lot farther, right?
Mhm.
So campsites costing season stamina versus regular stamina. It's a strategic tactic that teams could utilize. Now, whether the stamina cost coming from one or the other is advantageous, I think it is. Like, I think it would definitely be better if it was costing regular stamina than season stamina. So we'll see. These are all going to be suggestions that are going to be submitted, and hopefully with the next Surreal Wetland, the devs will take a look at that and maybe decide it, that they'll change it. So that, these are the things that happen with betas. It's kind of a catch-22. Like, I personally like how hard it is to fight the infected, in the sense that it's making it very interesting and very challenging and making us have to think and have to act as a team, because this game has always been about that, right? Like, the group always outweighs the individual, right? If you are geared towards a group mentality and doing what's best for your team, this event, and you've gathered those similar like-minded players, this event is a lot better for that, right? As it should be, because the whole game is around the build an alliance, build a team that is willing to sacrifice for the greater good of the team, right? So if going in with that mentality, this event is definitely less difficult, but it definitely is very interesting. I think if the infected were not as strong as they are, I think it would be just a little bit a more boring event. So, I think they might be just a little too strong when it comes to having to like using my tactic 8 hours to drain the supply. To me, is a little bit harsh, right?
It's excessive.
If we could utilize these tactics and drain the supply in 4 hours, okay, whatever. It's too time consuming to do the strategies. Here's my issue with it. Okay, brute forcing them is way too costly. Okay, I don't care what alliance you are in, trying to brute force your way the entire event will cost too much stamina, too much fungi, too much everything. So it's not sustainable at all. Okay, doing the tactics that I used takes too much time. So there's no in between, right? Like you either can try to brute force your way, but you're gonna have no stamina, no fungi, no resources to heal. I mean, it's going to be too much if you try to do that the entire event. And if you try to utilize my tactic, it's going to take way too much time, because we're talking 8, 9, 10 hours to take one building. Okay. There's a lot of buildings that need to be taken until you can get to the tree.
Yeah, I think it's a balance of the two as well. I mean, I enjoy having an opponent that is strong, and I've enjoyed the bots. I don't like the resource drain. It's not sustainable, especially if we're not getting, say, healing speed ups returned, because then it's a super grind in between to make sure you can be available to, replenish those supplies. So it would be nice to see maybe some return on that sort of items that we're using because the healing costs are too much against the infected.
It's hours of healing farms.
What? Hold on. Charmaine just posted something in the chat that I want to address. So you forgot to mention no dailies. Okay. So here's the thing. This is one thing I think the devs hit out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I will say 100% out of the park, by separating season stamina and normal stamina, dailies can easily be accomplished while still fighting. Okay. If that had not happened, this event would have been a disaster. I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because all stamina would be used towards fighting infected. There would be no dailies. There would be no nothing. Like you wouldn't be able to hunt a single hornet if you wanted to try to succeed in this event. So the fact that they split that stamina was definitely a huge improvement. So that is the best thing that came out of this event for sure. I mean, I'm constantly in a tower defending, using up season stamina while running rallies on geckos to get my dailies done. Okay. So that in itself was the best thing that came out of this event for sure.
I don't think I've ever had this many dailies done even on server.
Well, yeah. And Charmaine, you are right with that. But typically, I mean, like, by now, players should know that, like, hey, I have a strong PvP march. I'm going to put that in my pro troop. I'm going to fight with that. And my 3 other troops, I'm going to go and do other things, right? Or even 2 and 2. Like, that's what I'm constantly doing is 2 are fighting, 2 are rallying. And then I actually have my preset set to reverse it. So when my regular stamina is expelled from 2 units, those 2 strongest PvP units are on the opposite 2, and then I continue doing it. So, but that's just a little tip that I will share with you guys if you are worried about like where the stamina comes. Like, I think it would be great if the troops didn't even have stamina.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Like if the troops didn't have stamina, if it was you have 400 season stamina, 400 regular stamina, then you don't even have to mix anything around. You just whatever the target is you're going for, it consumes different types of stamina, and you whittle it down to 400. You're done.
Yeah.
So, Osiris, please edit your comment. I'm gonna have to teach Osiris how to negotiate. Okay. You start with, I hope the devs give us 100% refund on this beta. Okay. Just RSS. Just start with the 100%. Okay. I mean, if you want, even put 110%. Okay.
I was gonna say raise it up a bit.
Well, we can't do that, but we can give you 95%. Hey, we won. Okay. Negotiating 101.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really, they should give us 150 for the time we've had to invest.
I am going to as I mentioned in previous stages, we do have like staff on official Discord. We kind of meet weekly and submit what the community is discussing with us. So we participate in that a lot on stage because we interact with the community in this forum. So all of your suggestions do get submitted. I promise you that. Like our team here does submit to the powers that be what the community is asking for. So we will definitely be addressing some of these at the next meeting. And we will definitely be submitting these, but I'm going to edit Arias's a little bit and say 100% instead of 90%, but that was already on my list to submit. So don't worry about that. I'm going to ignore Connick's 10% because we definitely want to have more than the current. Jake Dog 190%. There you go. So,
And there are a few spots that you can put suggestions and vote. And the more attention a suggestion gets, the more likely it's getting sent up to in some of our staff conversations because we watch for that stuff. I'll post some of those links. Just going to take me a second.
exactly. So Jake, how's your event going? You're on are you on a Lost Island or on a?
We're on a barren lands right now.
Oh, nice.
It's going pretty good. It's pretty slow so far, but I think everybody used pretty much every last bit of resources on our first barren lands that we had. So
Okay.
all the teams are being a little more mindful of when we want to fight and how long we want to fight for.
That's good. That is good. Yeah, especially now when the advantage of like your range of servers is you get to see what the other teams are going through, and it allows you guys to better prepare, I think. I was surprised to see an 850 team in my event. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's now seeing the cost of the cost of resources and everything. Like, we've had years to develop significant levels of resources, right? So, like, I came to this event with 8 G's of honeydew, okay? And I don't farm. I don't have farms that I'm like constantly taking from and whatnot. So I can imagine that an 850 server that's almost a year newer than me wouldn't have that level of resources on it unless they were doing something drastic like farming daily and stuff like that. So seeing how draining this event is, it is going to be very, very interesting to see how the new versus old servers are able to keep up.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's only one server that I know of in our range that has fought in the way lower groups. And I think that's what a lot of us are that's our goal, is to be strong enough to actually be able to compete against those older servers like you guys.
All right, so Jaya, she is a leader in her group and has lost a major part of my morale and will accept any suggestion how I can make members to stay with us. I'll be brutally honest with you. You can't force members to stay or go. Like, players stick with and leave alliances for a number of different reasons. I think the best suggestion I can give to any of the leaders out there in this game is communication is key. Okay. So sending out daily mails, having information sent out when you guys are attacking, like having a properly supported Discord server or, whatever social media is best for your particular team. There's teams that like to use Telegram. There's teams that like to use WhatsApp. There's teams that like to use Discord. It really all depends, right? But when it comes to like leadership in a team, communication is probably the most important, especially when it comes to events like this event that we're going into. When players in your team are part of a group that is very well organized and able to get the information out there quickly and how to fight these things, and you're teaching these players how to do, they're going to tend to want to stick to that team because they see that there's support, that they're not the only one struggling, right? Everyone in the team is kind of struggling against these things. So yeah, kind of hit it right on the dot. Having a good relationship with players, constant communication with your members is the start. But having knowledge of the game, okay, is going to be probably the most important one because let's be honest with you. Okay, everyone has different play styles, right? Some team, I've said this a number of times before, right? Um, there are players out there that don't want to do anything but fight. Okay, they want to battle. That's their goal in this game. They want to fight, whatever. There's other players out there that like to do things like AE. There's other players that like to sit on a server and play the game as it was originally designed to play. So like you have all these different personalities and all these different types of players. The most important thing is to like find a group that is like-minded, okay, and make sure you're communicating with them the plans and everything like that. And if they enjoy it, your style of play, and what you're doing, then they'll stay. If not, they may try to move around and find it. And then on top of all of that, there are players that just want to do that, right? I have had a number of friends that have popped into our alliance, gone a season or two with us, and then popped out, gone to another alliance because that's one of the things that they like to do. They want to meet different people and see how different people play events and how so really communication, I think, is the key factor when it comes to being successful in this game and building up stronger teams is just basically gathering players that are like-minded and that want to stick it out and want to do the things that you guys want to do. Teams that I see, I've seen it all too many times that I can count a dozen times that I've seen players be some of the strongest players in this game, okay, build a team just to see it fall apart because that leadership team didn't kind of communicate with their players, or their goals were not in line with the goals of the rest of the players in their team. So me personally, I have found that being honest, being truthful, um, trying to have as much knowledge on how to play the game and getting that information out to all of the players in your alliance has made it much simpler, much easier. And like I said, you're never going to please everybody. Never going to happen. I don't care what team you're on. You're always going to have players that have complaints, but you have to kind of like prioritize that and see what you want to fix or see what you want to change. But even if a R3 member or R2 member in your team sends you a suggestion, at the very least, communicate with them, or take their suggestion up with the other leaders in your alliance and determine whether or not that's something you guys want to change or fix. So, strong leader, if you're fleet. So, I don't know. Those are just some suggestions. Exactly. I'm telling you right now, like, so the alliance that I'm in, I depend heavily on the other R4s and R5 in our team because, everyone gets, like, the way we do it is everyone gets assigned certain tasks and jobs in the leadership team. And some are communicating with the players, some are developing strategies, some are building towers and planning build routes and everything like that. So it's important to spread the chores of leadership among a number of players, and that core group of players is kind of what holds the team together. So just make sure you have good players that are in leadership, and make sure that you take everyone's opinion and kind of maybe find a happy medium between all of them. Right, Otto?
I think a happy medium is the only way to try to play this game.
Yeah.
And I think too, it's nobody likes to feel undervalued, and when you aren't seen as a player because the communication isn't there, it really becomes disheartening to want to keep playing with a group of people because you don't feel like you fit in. So I think that like that stems down to communication and fun. Because we'll do like Friday night voice chats during AE just to catch up, and you know what I mean. So you find those little moments where you can make those bonding experiences that are not always just about the game and the strategy and the grind. I think that helps a lot too.
Is Fuel in the audience? No, he's not. Okay. We have
Well,
an
you wouldn't-
R4. We have an R4 in our alliance. His name is Fuel the Flame. Just so you guys know, his task in our alliance is to take and accept all blame all the time. So whenever anything goes wrong, we automatically just blame him. So I mean, you have to have that player, right? That can take all the blame for everything that goes wrong, right? So he's not in the audience today, but
You can
he
still
does
blame him.
appear on here. So I'm going to blame him for anything that goes wrong automatically. So, and our team understands that, you know, he gets the blame. Doesn't matter whose fault it was. It's his fault. So I would suggest that for all teams. Make sure you have an assigned person that takes the blame for everything that goes wrong. Okay. That helps a lot. Trust me.
Mhm.
Gets a good laugh out of everyone in your alliance and, you know, keeps morale up a little bit. So,
Well, and then you can dedicate a channel to them in your Discord. So anytime something happens and they're offline, you can screenshot and post it in there with their hashtag just to
oh,
make sure they're aware.
I am gonna do that, Nim. I'm gonna do that right as soon as we're done with stage. I am going to create the Blame Fuel channel.
Yeah, and then you can screenshot and all the good then you can go back and read over everything that it's their fault. It's super
Yep.
fun.
Exactly. Detroit Lions lost yesterday. Blame Fuel.
Exactly. Mhm.
I thought you said no football talk.
Ah, whatever.
Slipped out.
Well, but it feels better now that it's Fuel's fault.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was unavoidable.
Yeah.
But-
I agree with Guppy here.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that, go into making an alliance, but I think there's always people who come and go. Every season, at the end of every season, I've yet to be in an alliance that everyone stayed after a season because I think people want to try new things. The game shifts, lots of other things, real life stuff happens,
I agree.
but a lot of them come back. So it's
I
just
agree. I've seen the same thing. You know, like, and I'm in an alliance that has maintained kind of a high rate of people not wanting to leave, but even like I can see the reasons why people want to leave our alliance as well, and some things are just totally out of your control. Like, you know, we in general have built an alliance that is pretty strong in the game. And what that does is it causes us to have harder matchups, right? There's nothing that can be done about it. You build a team with strong players in it, you're going to get a harder matchup. So a player may come in and realize, like, oh, I might have an easier time if I go to a smaller alliance that only has 60 players in it or whatever may be the case. And so they may want to try that, or they may, like you said, go for a season or two over there and then come back because they want to recover their account. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of movement when it comes to this event if they don't do something about the resources, because you're going to have players that were drained completely out of everything fighting this long, and now they're going to move to an alliance that's going to be a little bit smaller, a little bit less active, or leaders may have to pick and choose. Like, you may not be able to go to Surreal Wetland back to back to back to back. You might have to go to a Lost Island or a Baron just so your team can recover. I mean, like, these are all discussions that are going to have to be made with your teammates, because I can tell you this right now. If I were to go back to back to another Surreal Wetland, like after this one and after the next one, I don't think I would have enough resources to be able to withstand it personally. So
yeah, I agree.
and I know on a prepared level, I am a very well prepared player when it comes to going to season events, because I'll tell you what, I've been to 15 different seasons. Okay. And I learned my lesson on season 1, Lost Island, when I was fighting tooth and nail and we didn't know if we were getting resources back. And I had 0 resources across the board coming back from that first Lost Island. That one was like the eye opener of what it's going to take to go to seasons. Was like, I remember fighting, having to buy resources, okay, just to continue fighting, like buy honeydew or buy sand, because everything was gone, okay, towards the end of that first Lost Island. Like, having not farmed or anything like that, it was, that one was terrible. Terrible. So every event after that, I kind of like, okay, I have to have so much this, I have to have so much that. So, oh yeah, Konig, that first island was, that one was crazy. So, yeah. I mean, like, there's so many things that changed in this game from when I first played. I mean, like, the KE event, just so you guys know, when this game first started, KE, there were no shields on the hills. Like, the event started and like all of a sudden you jumped into an opponent's server and just started whacking people's hills. Okay. I mean, it was a free for all. So like, people would be offline and they'd come back and their hill was ported to the other side of the map and all their resources were taken and all their troops were killed. So that was, we've experienced that, or like those in the older servers have experienced things like that. Small players are actual threat. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember getting surrounded by play. I remember in a KE, and I, at that point, I had like kind of developed a stronger hill. I had some good ants and whatever, but I remember like having 10 players surround my hill and all of them attacking me at the same time. It was crazy.
Good times.
Same thing with AE was like that too. Like, you would get targeted, right? Like, if you were defending a building, all these players would just surround your hill and port you back to the home area. So it was definitely a different experience. I think the game has kind of been like moving into a more player friendly direction, like because of the changes that they made, like putting the shields on and it doesn't drop unless you attack another hill and whatever. But it's all part of the learning process and all part of, yeah, no garrison. No removal of garrison, Conic. That wasn't that the thing? There was no, you couldn't remove the garrison. So like, your troops were dying, they were dying. I mean, like, so I definitely didn't have T10s at that time, or maybe I might not have even had T9s if I remember correctly. But yeah, there was like no garrisons. Like, you couldn't remove the garrison. So when they attacked, your troops were getting killed. I mean, so whale killers were a thing. Yeah, you could go in there and, like the amount of supply, like you had to spend a bunch of resources in order to build up troops. And then all of a sudden, 10 players would pour in and kill all your troops. So, yeah.
Why do I feel like we're going to have hills now that have like 12 billion T9s so that you don't have to heal anything during wetland events?
Oh, that's
Gonna
kind
have
of
these-
that's a
like,
smart.
that's my plan. I'm going to be nice
but
and
here's the thing. So like, that's another factor that you have to think about is like, oh yeah, okay, do I want to have a bunch of T9s that I can use to fight infected? But what's the cost going to be on the feeding all of those on your account? You know, you're going to see accounts of 1 billion strength, right?
I think so. Usually I
Gonna be
keep mine pretty
loaded.
lean, but
They're going to be loaded with T9s and T10s.
pretty much.
I'm telling you right now, like, listen, since the event has started, I've never had full fungi.
Same.
Never. Not once.
Well, maybe the first week.
My season, my healing fungi has never been full. And the sad thing about it is, I probably am only fighting with SXIs 20% of the time, if that, because I'm trying to like regenerate enough fungi so it's close to full, right? But then something happens and I have to use SXIs to fight, because if I don't, then now I'm spending too much season stamina, right? Because the infected are just wiping me out of season stamina, having to fight them with T10s. So it's
Running mixed marches a lot just to balance the honeydew cost to this fungi cost is fun.
yeah. But I think we've kind of gone through our time, unless anyone else has any questions or whatnot before we close up stage for today. Some final questions, post them, or new insect ant coming. Possibly, we don't know. You guys have better understanding or knowledge of that than we do, but that has been something a lot of people have been asking for, so we'll see if that's coming or not. But oh, it is in the news? Oh,
Oh.
look at that. I totally missed that.
Same. But I was
Man,
fighting this morning.
this event has taken oh yeah, it looks like it. Yep, new species coming. Yes. Let me post that here.
Is that on Instagram?
Oh, it's in Discord too.
Oh, is it?
Yep. Thanks, Guppy. Look at you. You're ahead of us.
Oh, they're only giving us that little green part of it, eh?
Yeah, so is it going to be an insect, an ant, or an insect skin? I don't think it's going to be an insect skin.
No, me either. I think it's an insect.
I would guess insect.
Very popular in the exotic pet market, it says. Gotta be a chameleon.
I don't know.
Is there a bug that's popular? And I don't know. Interesting.
I think
Praying mantis, maybe.
I
I'd love
think
to
I
own
know
one
what
of those.
that is.
What do you think, Soul?
It's a beetle.
Oh,
What are the
comic.
beetles? Oh, so that means it might be a guard universal, maybe. Or maybe they do something else. Who knows? I don't know. That looks like, doesn't it look like a beetle's abdomen? No?
I think so. It looks kind of like because Conic posted a picture in chat, and I mean that's pretty close.
Oh,
Interesting.
oh. I think that's a beetle. What are beetles typically?
Guardians.
Guards, right?
Yep.
Looks like we might have a guard one. Ah, look at that. What's the name of that beetle? Yeah, it looks almost yeah, I think Connick's onto something. What kind of beetle is that, Connick? You know what it's called? Fig eater beetle? Color's a little different, huh?
Would be interesting if it was like a universal with universal synergy, but I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Dung beetle. There you go.
Hmm.
Hold on. Let's see if I can do some. Oh, I think I found it.
Interesting. Wonder if any of the boss bots will have it.
Oh, look at this. I think I found it.
Oh, that's kind of cool looking. In chat. What is that bug called? Because that is cool. I would not want to find that under my pillow. Oof, no. Mm-mm.
Yo, that's what I was just about. Oh, the same picture.
That is cool.
Dude, I just found
I
the
hope-
same picture.
I hope that's what it is because that is
I'm
cool.
telling-
That looks
look.
so cool.
I was just, that's so funny. Good job, Zoidal. That was the exact same picture I just pulled up, looking up to see what it was. That's crazy. Yeah. Look at you, man. That's awesome.
That front horn section, like that is, no thanks.
I just pulled up the same exact picture. That's crazy.
But it does even the even the
It's called Udacilla grali or whatever. That's hilarious. Oh man,
lots coming up in game for sure.
that's funny. Yeah, it looks like it definitely. You know what? Honestly, it's like it's basically a scarab or something. Maybe I don't know. That's cool though. But
Mhm.
yeah, we came up with the same picture. That's hilarious. Oh man. All right. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But chances are that's going to be coming. What, Tuesday? Some next event. What events have we had? So we just had. It's probably going to be the cave maze or whatever, right? Will be the next one.
We just had the B event, I think.
Yeah, tonight possibly. Yeah, that's true. Well, I don't think it's going to be a free insect, so we'll probably have to check our finances on this one.
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
No bidding for me.
No bading.
No bidding.
Oh, bading. Well. Yes, sir, Guppy. Update the sheet.
Oh,
All right. Well, we're definitely a little bit over, but I do want to thank everyone for joining us today. I hope we were able to get the information out that you guys were seeking when it comes to Surreal Wetland and some of the other updates that are coming. We look forward to seeing you guys next Sunday. Like Nim stated earlier, if you have any suggestions or anything you want us to post on stage, feel free to drop it in the stage topics panel I just posted, and we will definitely do our best to cover what that is. Go ahead, Nim. Anything else?
no, I think that's about it. Just, yeah, like I said, the suggestions. There's also the world suggestions or the surreal suggestions. We do look at that and push those forward to developers, or if we can to. But I mean, we don't have a say in any of that. We just bring their attention. And yeah, thanks for coming out.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Have a good one.